Another incredible Mike Tomlin quote. Mike Tomlin, the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, is a man who was hired out of obscurity for the Pittsburgh Steelers, a team that only had two other coaches beforehand, basically in the last 100 years, hired a defensive coordinator coach from the Minnesota Vikings. Mike Tomlin will go on to win over the entire city of Pittsburgh, win a Super Bowl, become a guy that the city of Pittsburgh would all say, hey, that's our fucking guy. He's got two Iron Cities sitting in his fridge in his office from Bill Cowher that was handed over to him. He has never had a losing season. Now, he's up against it this year with a lot of obstacles, obviously, including an aging quarterback who we don't know what it looks like for the rest of this season, let alone the future. But Mike Tomlin, a man who has come on this show and given us a great interview. Every single time he's at a press conference, says incredibly intelligent, hilarious, and non-eventful shit basically every time he speaks. Always entertaining, always exciting. Would make sense that a school like USC in Los Angeles would be interested in a guy like Mike Tomlin manning the ship because of how likable he is, how popular he is, the resume he has, and the fact that they think he would be able to keep players in Southern California and restore the tradition that is the USC Trojans. So that rumor started on the internet last week that maybe Mike Tomlin will get the gig. James Franklin out of Penn State, maybe. Luke Fickell, maybe. I think there's somebody else that's...
Matt Campbell
at Iowa State. He's on the list. And then all of a sudden, Mike Tomlin's name started working its way into the conversation. Dan Patrick had an opportunity to chat with Carson Palmer, who I didn't get a chance to listen to the entire interview, so I apologize. I'm a big fan of Dan, the Danettes, that show. Very thankful for everything that show has done. But he was chatting with Carson Palmer, who was portraying himself as somebody in the know, almost. Like Carson Palmer was almost acting as if, and we don't know if this is true or not, it could be true because this is something that happens at universities when they're trying to hire a new head coach. They get ex-players, notable alum, and they say, hey, will you help us hire a coach? This has happened for other NFL players in the past with their schools. It's happened for friends of mine. I've seen friends on dean's planes and athletic directors' planes flying to interview coaches and shit. This is something that happens. Carson Palmer went on the Dan Patrick Show acting as if he was potentially a part of the committee that would be selecting, and I don't know if he actually said that or not. Once again, I did not hear it, but the way he was speaking to Dan, he gave off that Mike Tomlin was actually in hypothetical conversation for USC.
Yeah.
So this has led to Mike Tomlin now having to answer questions about going to USC, heading into week 8, coming off a bye with a team that nobody knows what the hell the rest of the year looks like. This is what Mike Tomlin had to say about those rumors of going to LA.
And Palmer connecting you to some college jobs.
Hey, guys, I don't have time
All right.
for that speculation.
Okay.
I mean, that's a joke to me. I got one of the best jobs in all of professional sport. Why would I have any interest in coaching college football? That'll be the last time that I address it.
Okay.
And not only today, but moving forward. Never say never, but never. Okay? Anybody else got any questions about any college jobs? There's not a booster with a big enough blank check.
Anyone else? All right.
Thank you. Anybody asking Sean Payton about that? You know, anybody asking Andy Reid about stuff like that?
By the way, put some motherfucking respect on my name is basically how that thing ended. So not only did he just say, this is absurd, this is ridiculous, made a mockery out of it, and then at the end he said, and also, stop with the bullshit.
Yeah.
He hasn't had a losing season for the Pittsburgh Steelers, one of the most storied franchises in the NFL, one of the most passionate fan bases, a stadium that has been sold out for the next 30 years if you want to buy season tickets in Pittsburgh, where the lifeline of the city is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay? That is how the city goes, how the Steelers go. That is how it has always been. It always will be. Now, granted, we are hockey, and the Penguins, are the fucking greatest team on ice. Wow. But the Pittsburgh Steelers drive the aura of Pittsburgh. And for Mike Tomlin to be able to accomplish what he's been able to accomplish in that job with the amount of scrutiny, pressure, heat, everything, eyes, all of that, I think he is at the point where he's like, enough with the bullshit, by the way. There's been unions that have called for his job. There has been Yinzers. There has been a community of Yinzers in Pittsburgh that have gotten loud that say, hey, Mike Tomlin is nowhere near what he was way back in the day. This team ain't going to win. Yeah, they're good, but they ain't never going to be great, which is something that happens to fan bases that maybe get a little bit too comfortable because you can't fathom being the Detroit Lions right, or something like that. Because, you know, once you see one little slight decline, you start thinking, oh, no, all hell is breaking loose. But in the midst of all of that, Mike Tomlin has been nothing but a professional, a super positive winning football coach, and I'm happy he ended it the way he ended it in that particular conversation. Tone Diggs, a diehard Pittsburgh Steelers fan, your thoughts?
Yeah, I love that man. I've said it before. I would take a bullet for that man. This story popped up like a week ago for God knows what reason, and it's been making me more and more mad the more and more it's talked about over the last week, and I'm so glad that someone asked him about it. Like, what? We talked about it earlier. Like, yeah, because Tomlin wants to go recruit for 12 months a year, go into children's houses and have to sell parents on why they should come. But listen, I obviously biased, but like Steelers are one of the better organizations in the NFL. They've had 3 coaches over the last 50 years or whatever it is. Like, this is a marquee job, and Tomlin's not leaving for anything. And the people that think he should be fired that you reference are fucking idiots. And thank God he said this day. I love this man so much.
I do too. I enjoy Tomlin a lot. Now, granted, he was the one who put me through my workout on my pro day. I was not invited to the combine, so the pro day was literally the thing that got any eyes on me. And Mike Tomlin led the workout, so probably more people are going to watch it if that's happening. So I have a personal debt towards Mike Tomlin. But as somebody who grew up in Pittsburgh with a family that bleeds black and gold diner, I mean, that was tough for my mom and dad. I think in our extended family, you know, when the Colts drafted me and the Steelers didn't, that was those were a couple tough days. They'd show up at the stadium wearing black Colt shirts. You know, didn't want to stick out too much, but he is family. He is family. There was a couple of McAfee Steelers, just like that one. There's a couple of those. The Steelers actually sent me this. Shout out to the Steelers for this. This is very nice of them. There's a couple of those in the stands actually during games. It's like, I love you, man, but I mean,
black and gold.
That's how Pittsburgh is, though.
Tough for everybody.
That is exactly. It's literally what is tough for everybody. Nick is not extended family. He was a Pitt as well when I was in West Virginia. I mean, there was some interesting situations. I put a lot of family and friends, but that is real. Football is. I mean, you meet somebody from Pittsburgh, and Chris Collinsworth got murdered for this. Oh, yeah. But Pittsburgh is a football city through and through. Whenever things are good, football is still being played on the streets and the backyards everywhere in Pittsburgh. When things are going bad, football is being played in the streets and the backyards in Pittsburgh. That's just the way it is. And I think Mike Tomlin has bought into that. I think he's very thankful for that. And to leave for USC would have been pretty aggressive decision. I think Pittsburgh would have felt a certain way about it. But also, Carson, I think he was talking as if like he was in the know. So did USC actually think they were going to be able to put a pitch together? And then you hear Tomlin say this, and they're like, all right, well, go ahead and throw that. Yeah. Send that paper right back to the rowing team that, you know, we used to get all those dumb rich kids in here. That's right. We got nothing over here.
Listen, I love Carson. He's come on the show. He's a great guy. He was very nice to us, you know. He was a Bengal, though, and the Steelers did end one of his knees. So, like, I can see
changed the entire
what they're
rule
doing
book.
Here.
Yeah.
That was crazy.